just woke up, not feeling good, but I needed to spread the gospel. World's best day game coach is going to tell you what happens when I did not yell at a student for a month. I figured if I didn't yell at a student, I needed to see the results. Before COVID-19, I did that for a month before too, and it was a disaster. During COVID-19, however, I needed to try it because I thought to myself, is it wrong yelling at the students? So I decided for 1 month not to yell at the students. I'm going to tell you from 5 different students yesterday what was the results. And yesterday it was a disaster. This is why my voice sounds kind of fucked up. This is the gospel. My voice, I lost it. I feel tired. I feel frustrated. And I'm going to explain to you why. But first of all, let's talk about the Navy SEALs and why do they yell at people? Why are they so tough? So when you look at this video,
general discharge here. If this is your first time with us, our voices are disguised so we can give you information on just
so according to Navy SEAls, they go through very tough training.
We'll be discussing BUDS, which stands for Basic Underwater Demolition / SEAL Training. BUDS is the gut check of the Navy SEAL training pipeline. It has been made famous in part due to the well-known documentary that the Discovery Channel made on.
So for Navy SEAls, they put you through a lot of hell.
A unique thing about BUDS.
You make you lift logs, they put you underwater. They put you through all sorts of things because they need to separate a team A from team B. So basically what's happening is team A is like the people that passed. And for my students, they already got laid during COVID-19. According to the SEAL team, team B is failed. In order to fail, you have to ring the bell 3 times and put your helmet on the ground. That means you're out of the SEAL team or you get fired from it. They go through this hell week. But however, this is still a work in progress for my students. Work in progress. So I'm suffering as team C now, which is they won't procreate. These are guys who are so autistic that they have no chance with women. And this is what I'm trying to separate now. Because Johnny Elite's SEAL Team A already got laid. They're all the testimonials. I'll post non-stop testimonials. SEAL Team B, they're still work in progress. SEAL Team C, they have no chance. I'm going to read the stories of a couple of students. This is going to be very quick because I want to get the gospel out there. The very first student was Indian. He just got a job, but his results was not fast. Let's just say this guy was not in North America. Very good-looking Indian guy, very tall, but for some reason, every single assignment he did on John Elite Access has failed. He has not passed a single assignment, which is very strange because when you look at the amount of mental illnesses and stuff like that, you know, even from his family and stuff, it's genetic. He cannot process more than 1 core processor or 2 cores. Like I said, it's like a dual core. If they try to do multiple steps, the brain shuts down. Unteachable cases. So for the first case study, when I didn't yell, the Indian guy, we were doing things like we were working on the social skills drill. He was one of the 85% I have failed. Isn't that weird? Most of the autistic students cannot do 3 steps. They practice the social skills flow drill. Since he failed it, I'm moving him to the Kaizen-like sort of training on Elite Access. That means he's working at one body, like skill at a time, one opener. Instead of worrying about the words, he just has to say the word blah, blah, blah. So happy, fun, carefree, positive vibe. Blah, 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 blah. In the opener, excuse me real quick, I have a question. Blah, 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 blah. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? Blah, 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 blah. But you know what it sounds like? It sounds like very angry for him. It sounds like, excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was like, holy shit. It's not uncommon among the students who are part of Team C or will be part of Team C. Number one, they have this anger in their voice when they talk to women. And I don't. When I talk to women, it's like an AI. Something spits out, excuse me real quick, I have a question. I look like a different person. And this is completely unconscious competence. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you right now. I just noticed that you have this creative and artistic vibe about you. So I was curious, are you an artist? See, everything's perfect, on point, every facial expressions. You're like, who the fuck was that guy? Was that John? That's right. Whenever I'm around women, it's almost like a different person because a different person has been trained into my nervous system. Exactly the same way I train these people. But because the anger in her voice and there's a depression in her voice. This is why I feel a little bit frustrated when because I didn't hit any punching bags or yelled or anything like that today. I just want to hold on to the pain because yesterday that was one of the students. And there's going to be 5 or 6 students all fucked up yesterday. It was so fucked up. I have to spread the gospel. So the next student he burned out halfway and he's half-assing it, but he's trying his best. Everything he tried to do Elite 30 himself. So for the students that I've noticed, the ones who burn out the quickest are the know-it-alls. They always try to get a little bit of advice from me. Then they try to do it themselves. They try to teach themselves as if they're their own dating coach. It's almost like they're trying to do their own surgery on their stomach to cut out the cancer. They don't let me do it. He's like, that's great, John. Grab the scalpel, blood everywhere. That's how it's like. And the next thing is that he's just making too many mistakes. And during this month of field testing, he burnt out a little bit. I should have been harsher on him. I should have been yelling at him like the Navy SEALs, like the Marine Corps, because that's how I was trained in Krav Maga. But that's the funny thing. So this is the first case study. After a month, when he doesn't get any sort of results, what I mean by that is, yeah, the training is perfect, but if the brain or the hardware cannot adapt to it because there's multiple steps, and he gets frustrated, when you don't have that many victories in the beginning, it feels like you're working out and you don't see anything. I remember working out for 6 months, not a single bit of muscles, but 6 months and one day just started happening a little bit. That's what you need. Sometimes for these people, what they don't realize, because I'm going to send him this video, is that you're trying to split a boulder in half, for example. Okay? So maybe this way it will illustrate a lot better. Because for some people, they need to be patient. So if this was like a big boulder, okay, and you're going to have to hit the boulder with a hammer, okay, like a long hammer. It'd be like ping, ping, nothing will happen. But eventually, after like 101 hit, the boulder, for some reason, splits in half. Does that make sense? It splits wide open, and then it splits in two. That's what happens with, a boulder. But it's not split in half if you don't deal. Sometimes you got to put in the work, and the brain has to catch up. So for this student, his brain did not catch up. And that's very interesting. If you guys are learning a lot about how students learn things, give it a thumbs up. It's the least you can do. So the next student was a schizophrenic. So what's a schizophrenic? He is a Latino student. He's 5'3", I believe. I could be mistaken, but yeah, you're 5'3". And he was arguing with me about, oh yeah, it's all about confidence. Height doesn't matter, right? You should teach a system that all the naturals that are 5'4", all of them that I know, even my students, have all wear heel lifts to boost themselves to around 5'7". Nobody is putting themselves in the kill zone. Unless you're using crutches, unless you have a very good Instagram, a good lifestyle, there is no way that this is going to be very effective. So if they're wearing heel lifts, even at 5'4" for other students, then why are you not wearing heel lifts? Now he finally is going to get one, or elevator shoe. It got stuck across the border. He moved back home. I won't say where he lived. His information is private. But however, we'll talk about it. He was a schizophrenic. Yet their PUAs are so delusional. But this is a whole different level, because for PUAs, when they're delusional, what happens is they have low self-esteem and high ego. And when they have low self-esteem and high ego, the delusions set in. That's number one. They get delusional, but they never get to the point where they're seeing a different reality. This guy was seeing a completely different reality. Number two, what happens is that they're skillless spam approachers. They'll go out there and they'll take massive action, procrastinating on working on the skills. That's exactly what happened here. So I lost my voice talking to these people. And you'll hear in the very last story, which is the coolest of all. you'll see how a student have gone from 0 skills, even worse than the first student, to getting like 25% of the pack. Like just he rise up this much skill, and you're gonna learn that. So stick around and listen to the whole thing. It is amazing. So for this student, schizophrenia. What is schizophrenia? See, I lose my voice talking with so many hours with them because they're hard to teach. Schizophrenia is like when you hear voices and you see a different reality. He thought I was teaching him at one point in a bar over there in a different country. And I was like, dude, that was not me. He doesn't know which reality is real, which reality is not real. You're like, holy shit, you literally see a different reality. He's like, that's impossible. It's not impossible. So I told him that if he wanted to run a business during COVID-19, I give him some videos to watch, some videos of people that ran businesses during COVID-19. Guess what? He dismissed it because the third trait of low self-esteem is doing it your way, the wrong path, the sociopath. So, for example, if they do the wrong path, this is 1 year because he's in his 20s. It's going to be 4 months right here. Okay? If you do it your wrong way, everything will blow up in your face. Boom. It'll fail. But then you wait another 4 months, right? Does that make sense? Because you do it your way again, you ignore John in 4 months. This is 1 year. Elite access is only 1 year. So he's going to burn himself out. If he does it his way 3 times, and that's the problem with low self-esteem. You never could underestimate how low the self-esteem of pickup artists are. It is the lowest self-esteem I've ever seen out of the general population. This is where the high ego comes in. This is where the ego trip comes in. This is where mental masturbation, and they're not in it to get laid. That's what I think. I'm beginning to see they're just in it to worship, in it to take action, in it to just feel good, to mentally masturbate, to pump their state. If they want to get laid, they'll all come to me. They'll always beg me to train them. But that's not the case because they look at the testimonials. It's not clicking with them that if you do everything I say and not resist, most likely, I would say at least 80% of you can get laid. And the other 20% is Team C. So let's continue the story. So he went to a psychoanalyst, not a psychiatrist. So usually they take antipsychotic medications. They have these things called episodes, but episodes only happen within a short time of a year. So, and I think he should get a second opinion. So basically what I was trying to say to him was that he needed a medication because I was like talking to Charles Manson. He was like, no, I'm going to do it my way, right? And I told him use CBT. So CBT is a cognitive behavioral therapy. I taught him some techniques to challenge all the beliefs, whether or not this is real. Or on a scale of 1 to 10, how certain do you think your belief is real? And he'll write like 10 or 9. And then afterwards he says, could it be something else? Because you always want to challenge the belief. Could it be that, you are this or that? And he's like, I never thought of that. And then I have this court test, basically. Can you prove it in court? Not just evidence, but actual proof that's real. Then he says, no, I cannot prove it. So, for example, he might have imaginary friends. You're like, holy shit, this sounds crazy. Dude, I have crazy fucking students. And it's not to call them crazy to insult them, but you don't know why I teach and why I'm so frustrated sometimes. Yesterday was pushing it beyond the breaking point. I'm still here, frustrated and all, and just giving you guys the gospel. So for that student, he says, no, that friend, that imaginary friend was not real. And then I say, how certain are you finally? On a scale of 1 to 10, he's at around 5 or 6. So he can fix his thinking by going through CBT. When you give him advice and they don't do it, it becomes a problem. Does that make sense? It becomes a major problem. This is how they think. And let's continue. So basically, he's telling me that is not a genetic component. So I start looking at it. Okay, hold on a second. I start looking at it, and I did some research. So he claims there are no genetic causes, but I found some genes that are associated. 22q11.2 deletion gene, which is associated with schizophrenia, but it doesn't mean all the genes. It's like certain genes that are broken. And micro deletions and higher rate of schizophrenia, DRD2 variant, stay with me here. Polymorphism gene, ZNF804, whatever variant, is a zinc finger protein gene, blah blah blah. But it is hereditary, it is genetic, and he argues with me that it's not because some scientists. But regardless, after that, another student contacted me. You're like, shit, that's just the first or two students, and then another student contacted me like, whoa, what the fuck? The third student who lost his virginity, an Indian student. So this is the guy with the non-Indian accent. And he was trying to do a drill called social comfort. And it was the most autistic sounding drill I ever heard in my life. And every single time I told him to improve it, he keeps repeating the same fucking mistakes. So he keeps repeating the same fucking mistakes. It was shocking. And I'm going to play you the audio.
Tell me something interesting about you.
What the fuck?
Something I would have not figured out about you just by looking at you.
Holy shit.
Oh, I did ballet when I was younger. Speaking of ballet, I feel like learning ballet.
He's trying to do a social comfort drill. That means he has to learn how to switch to social comfort. But now listen to him. Tell me something interesting about you. He's hitting the wrong notes. The speed is too slow. It sounds monotone. No life in it. He failed this over 20 times, but he can't hear his mistakes because he never actually did the whole raising the self-esteem, lowering the ego, binaural beats, audio. He never went through that, or he did go through it, but he can't hear the mistakes. That's another big red flag, but he still got laid. So he is part of Team A. Regardless, I know it sounds completely insane because when I send this to the other students just to let them hear it, they're like, oh my God, did he really talk like that?
Difficult. I'm just curious. How did you feel performing in front of a live audience?
But he thought this was pretty good. And he was just speaking on the women's part so he can practice against somebody. Sometimes it's good to have no stakes practice. You're like, oh my God, that's fucked up. So that wasn't the worst of it because another student contacted me. You're like, wait, there's more? Yeah, because at that exact time, I was arguing with the schizophrenic and I was teaching the Indian student, already frustrated, already thinking to myself, whoa, what the fuck? Asian student contacted me. He was from one of these forum groups called Reddit. He wanted to train with me and just to see, but he also was struggling a little bit. So the next student, it's around 5'8", Chinese. So also another Chinese. So he was learning very slowly. And he was getting all the steps wrong because I wanted to see if he can do the stop. The day game stop revolves around a lot of steps. You have to walk, you have to point, you have to do all that stuff. Why are people dropping off? So regardless, I'm going to preach the gospel. I don't care if you drop off. So to do a stop, it requires a lot of steps. So for him, what happened was he was doing this, like this, and then he was like, whoa, what the fuck? When he's walking around the women, you're supposed to walk across her, turn your head, look 2 seconds, turn the body. Excuse me, I was going that direction, 45, and talking like this, right? But for him, he's already turning his head before he passed her. And then he turns too quickly, he faces her, and it puts a lot of pressure on her. But he made this mistake after he practiced 100 times. And you're like, oh my God, he practiced 100 times. And that's when I started telling him something that's very interesting. I mean, the people that left, you're going to be missing out on a really cool story. So I told him that it took 5 tries for normal cases, just 5. So in a boot camp, to get that stop 5 times, they already got that stop down. Here, they'll do it 150 just to get it right once. I'm just preaching the gospel here. I don't feel very good, obviously, after yesterday. After that, around 170 just to get the second one correctly. They have to get 5 on the boot camp. After 175, the third one, 180, the fourth one, and maybe 190, the fifth one. You're like, holy shit, 150. I'm telling you, they really do have a dual core processor brain. And this guy realized that. This exercise is exactly what I use to see how, if they're a hard case, impossible case, or unteachable case. And he told me over the years, he struggled with learning faster. And he used to have an ego. Before it was like that. now has improved a lot. Like, I start yelling at him. Basically what happened was, I said, listen, I didn't want to hurt your feelings. That's why I was being nice, because I have a reputation for being like a Navy SEAL. And I show him the audio of the last student. And he was like, holy fuck, that guy sounds autistic. Tell me something interesting. He's like, dude, you're teaching students like that? And I was like, yeah, dude. And I show him the other student, but I obviously cover his face and his name. Here's a schizophrenic student. This guy works also with, he might have worked with some of these people with mental illnesses too, but I won't say any detail. But for him, but his details are not going to be public. Okay. What do you do? What do you mean? I'm a dating coach. So basically, what he'd done is, I lost my train of thought. So basically, he heard the other autistic student, and he's thinking to himself, well, what the hell? Then he looked at the schizophrenic. He's like, I've seen people like that before. And holy shit, you deal with schizophrenics? I told him, this is not the only schizophrenic student I have. I have 2 schizophrenic students. One other Korean, like I have multiple Korean students, and another one that's like him, the Latino student. And then I told him also about the other first student who basically is not learning shit, which is the Indian student. And he was like, oh my God, this sounds like hell, John. I didn't know you are going through so much hell teaching all these students. And here I am making the same mistakes. I am sorry. He really felt bad for me. And I had to explain to him, a lot of people think I'm very mean and I'm evil and shit like that. And I said, do you see why I have to yell at the students? Because after a month of doing this experiment of not yelling at them, the students, 2 of them in this story, as you stick around, the first one burnt out. The last one is the most important one. He also burnt out. And he tried to blame it on me, but I tried to explain to him the entire day what happened. So basically, he says, oh my God, that's for real? So, you know why I yelled at students? And now he's like, yeah, I can see that. Do you see that there's no other way to teach them? That if I be nice to them for a whole month, they all burn out. And they're like, oh my God, you're right, John. They actually do burn out. Or they'll, that is not a bad thing to yell at them. I told them that a little bit of discipline. So basically, when I talk him over the phone, it took 47 minutes to cut through it's like cutting through butter, It's hard to get the message through because he kept resisting. And I told him, do you see how you kept resisting? It's the same as that schizophrenic student. Even if the other students are not resisting, do you see that you're pulling a handbrake so I can't get the lesson in? And he's like, oh my God, yes. So I just told him not to be mean. I told him to shut the fuck up for a while and just let me talk. And I say, I'm not here to hurt your feelings. I'm teaching you that, just like the army, that if I don't use discipline, you can see what happens to other students. And that is not the worst of it. That's not the worst of it. So afterwards, he started listening. He said, yes, sir. It is not because you see a lot of students saying yes, sir. It's not because, John's making them submit or whatever. No, it's nothing like that. What's happening is that he's saying, you know what, John, you can take control of the steering wheel. I'm going to release the handbrake. You just steer the direction. I'll press the gas. I'll go forward. I'll do what you say. So that's an interesting story. But what if I told you that something else was even worse? So there's one student that contacted me afterwards. He didn't know that there was a 5th student contacting me. As fucked up as this story is so far, the 5th student was a Korean student and he got burned out. I told him I was going to make this into a blog post or something. So the 5th student was Korean and he says, oh, what you're teaching does not work, right? And he tried to stop using the stuff. And so I called him on the phone and I says, bullshit. That's bullshit. So for him, he was a slow learner, but for some reason, he's holding on to a lot of handbrakes. So I did something called REBT. So what is REBT? It's called Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy. REBT is the activating event. That is something in your past that happened to you that's bad. And you got to dig it out because that's going to lead to number B. That's your beliefs. Your beliefs are going to be fucked up. So when your beliefs are fucked up, C is the consequences of your belief. But John, you know so much about psychology. That's correct. I do. So the students do get taught with psychology, even in the boot camps, if they're fucked up. So C is the consequences of what happened. D is the disputing of what happened. That means I get to Gordon Ramsay or be Dan Pena like, and I get to attack every single belief. E is the new emotions or evaluation. I mean, new evaluation of the new belief. And F is the new feelings. So what was the problem with the student? Give a thumbs up if you guys are learning something. So for the student, it turns out I said, look at the very first event in your subconscious mind. What started all this stuff? What's the handbrake that's happening in your life? The very first instance is very interesting. He actually was banging a woman that was married, and they had like, he called it a relationship, but it's not a real relationship. It's more like a fling. She was cheating on her, her boyfriend with my student, my recent student, and he felt like hookup culture is evil, and he felt like hookup culture is disgusting. And I started asking about that. So what beliefs did you form? And he was telling me that those were the beliefs he formed. So it wasn't because he was resisting. And he later told me what's the consequences. He felt very guilty. Every single time he learned a new thing from me, he told me he was resisting everything. Because when you listen to his tonality, it was like the first student. It sounded angry when he did the exercises. It didn't sound like, excuse me real quick, I have a question. It sounded like, excuse me real quick, he was really angry of the female nature of women. He was very angry that they can just cheat on people. So what happened was, I told him that when he got to D stage, I'm just going to preach the gospel. I'm just going to enunciate the truth here. If you want to listen to it, that's great. But D, what happened was I start doing this Gordon Ramsay thing. At that stage, I start calling him out saying, listen, women cheat all the time. It happens. It's human nature. It's human nature. And most likely, it's like hypergamy or hypergamy. And I also told him that because that women often will have sex with the pre-selected guy, the alpha male, so they can pass off better genes. And what will happen is that when they pass off better genes, the beta male raises the kid. So therefore the resources, but he later finds out he is not the father. He's not the father. So when I told him that, yo, what's up? Wait, are you? Okay. So basically what you find out is that he is not the father. And then when that happens, this is how human race perpetuated their genes all this time. They cheat like crazy. It's all about procreation. And when I told him that, he started to understand that when the woman was cheating, she was just cheating on her boyfriend because he was actually better looking than her boyfriend. And for her, she was not happy in that relationship. And it was hypergamy. And when he realized that, he was like, oh my God, all this time he was getting angry at the hookup culture and blaming himself for feeling guilty. Did you know what happened after we started practicing the drills? So I said, listen, if you're not learning fast from Johnny Elite Access, and that's understandable with the handbrake, I'm going to spend some time with you on Skype, even though I spend a lot of time with the other students. I didn't tell him about how fucked up the other students were. I didn't want him to know. But I did hint at him that I was teaching schizophrenics, this and that. And of course, he didn't want to hear that. We did the exercise. We did the flow drill. So this is what I done. And tell me if I'm evil or not. But instead of doing squats, because he was in his car and he's very upset, I told him, do you have elastic band so you can snap yourself? He says, I'm not there. I'm at the car. So what I told him to do was to pinch a part of the hand that really is painful. So for me, the back of the hand is a little bit more painful until you can say, ouch. Right? I can feel it here, but I can't feel it here. Not here, but right here, I could feel the pinch. So I said, if you make a mistake, can I have permission to actually punish you? So yeah, in case you're a wife baby, you are not the father. It's the case of your wife baby. You get a DNA test just in case, because you never know, right? You never know. They might find out that afterwards that sometimes when a baby doesn't look like you, get a DNA test, because sometimes women do actually raise, like, especially in the hood, in the hood. Sometimes you see in Jerry Springer kind of shows before a woman will say, oh, I'm sorry to tell you, you are not the father, or they do a paternity test, right? And a lot of times you find out, it's like, are you the father or not the father? And it's like, I'm not the father. And the guy starts dancing. Oh, hell yeah, I got the fuck out of here. And then she's like crying, what? That's not my baby. And then he runs the fuck out of the relationship. Or other times they get upset. They're like, what? I'm not the father, but I love this. I raised her myself. You see what I mean? That's kind of funny, isn't it? That happens more often than you realize. So in case you feel like you don't look like your family, and I don't look like my family, you always wonder if you're related. My dad is ugly as shit. My dad looks like Jackie Chan, like an older version. So my mom is better looking, but I'm not even sure if, that's my father. Let's just say that. Someone so ugly like him does not give me the genes. So I don't know how. I'm not like, I look kind of fucked up today, but yeah. Regardless, let's continue with the story. So I made the student pinch himself if he made a mistake. So he's like, excuse me real quick. I have a pinch. That was too angry. He's like, ouch, right? He improved it a little bit. Excuse me real quick. I have a question. No pinch. Blah, 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 blah. I'm looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? I was like, holy shit. Give a half pinch, right? Because you fucked up the second half. Ouch. Okay? Then you try it again. You guys should not be afraid of a little bit of punishment because you got to teach the system what mistakes not to do. It's like training a puppy, you got to have a reward and punishment. And a lot of people get angry at me because I tried it for 1 month because I want to test my hypothesis, whether or not I'm too mean to the students. But it turns out if you don't punish them at all, like 0%, they're not going to learn anything. So how many times did he pinch himself? Eventually he got it. Excuse me real quick. I have a question. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, by the way, blah, blah. And it's like, he said, oh, by the way, pinch. Ouch. Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you right now. He eventually got that part. I just know. And then he started doing the conversational flow drill. Do you know that? So he started doing that triangle flow drill, and I have to teach the students that. And for some students, one of the students finally passed the second one, the social comfort. Today, one student, I'll talk about afterwards, a Chinese student from Vancouver, he'd been practicing, although he's a little bit slower. It's like the turtle versus the hare. He kept plugging away at it until he got the skill down. As you can see, even the Indian student was practicing the social comfort flow drill. That's afterwards the conversational part. Then you got to work on the social comfort, connecting. But for these guys, you can see the Indian student does not have it, the middle guy. The last one, he finally got it. So eventually what happened was that for this student, this Korean student, when he started pinching himself after 60 pinches, he was able to do the opener perfect. And afterwards, he was able to do the flow drill. You know that? He was doing it perfect. He's following the structure. We're going back and forth. I pretend I'm speaking for the women. And if he was speaking for the guy, if he made the same mistakes, or asking a question, he'll pinch himself. So what happened at the very end? He was succeeding. He was going upwards, an upward curve like this. And I'll show you on this graph. So his results was exponential. He was increasing like here. He was improving dramatically with the pinches. Without the pinches, he would just be constantly going down like this. And no matter how many takes he gives me, it'll always fail. But however, because he was practicing in real time with Johnny Lee, he fucked it up, but he kept going up. And all of a sudden, just like Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin, he went all the way and crashed to the fucking ground. I already knew that. I'm psychic, so therefore, I knew it was going to crash. And I know it's going to crash further. Bitcoin is going to flatline for a while, many months, and Ethereum's going to go down. So if you bought that kind of shit, and one of my Indian students did, the guy who got married, maybe it's not a good choice. It's a good thing you didn't put that much money in it. But yeah, people ask me about the Bitcoin and stuff because I'm psychic. I know exactly what's going to happen. And that's my prediction. I should not tell you guys. But it's going to happen exactly. I can draw the chart of what happened with Dogecoin. There will be one more spike. But the point is, when he started pinching and stuff, he got all the way up here. So he improved dramatically by 25%. So he's as good as 25% of my students. He's got out of Team C, right? And now he's moved himself to Team B. While the first Indian student was part of Team B, he moved himself to Team C because he wanted to get a job and he burned out. But because of that discipline at the right points, right here, to keep them on the line. You see, everything's keeping them on the line. It's like Jordan Belfort. Me and Jordan Belfort thinks the same. because whenever you're the best in the world at something, usually we all have the same sort of thinking patterns. Discipline, keeping on the line, all these concepts create like a team of superheroes. And yeah, they all have exactly the same concepts. Practice from within when you're without. They all have exactly the same concepts. So for this person, but then where does the crash happen? Where does the crash happen? As soon it's like a Gatling gun. Do you guys remember the movie Terminator 2? When Arnold was like shooting this sort of gun at people, right? It's like this Gatling gun. It's like a big machine gun. And then it's like spinning like this. And it was firing a lot of bullets. And Arnold's over here, right? He's like, hasta la vista, baby. I'm gonna shoot the cop cars, right? Blah, 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 blah. Right? Do you remember that? He's like walking around with his sunglasses and then shooting everyone in sight. Right? But this Gatling gun, this machine gun, this chain gun was overheating. So this thing was overheating. With autism, when you have too much cortisol, what was happening with the student was the more flow drill he did, eventually it started to break down. So whenever he was speaking, here's the funny thing for a case study, and this happens to a lot of the students. Bitcoin, it should rise again, but it's going to be a long downward curve. And that's the funny thing. Some people know I'm psychic, even in their circle. I was able to predict even numbers and all that stuff. I can predict anything from the students, and they're like, what the fuck? John knows. That maybe being psychic or something is good because like I know this stuff. And I even sent this documented even in front of the whole class. Like, I just know these things. Maybe I'm not even sure if I was teaching you guys or some kind of universe or entity or teaching you guys. Whoever was teaching you guys was getting you all these results. I just know in my mind. It's not because, like a sociopath. I just know, right? Like, those guys win at all costs. It always leads to results for the students. So something, I'm not sure if it's godly or something amazing is happening. It's working for the students. New concepts are flowing in, and I could see this stuff very clearly as I get older. But for him, he crashed because the Gatling gun was overheated. So the conversation is that afterwards he speaks. I've noticed this among all the autistic students. They have a long pause. John, how are you so smart? I don't really know. I read a little bit, but some people are born with a brain like that. You know what I mean? All the people who are number one in the world, most likely, if I had the hypothesis, Bill Gates, for example, cheated on his wife. He's a really tough bastard. Steve Jobs is a tough motherfucker. Elon Musk is completely like tough and does whatever. Mayweather, is good at boxing. Michael Jordan is a bit of a troll. He trash talks people. They're all probably psychopaths, and they are able to separate emotions from logic. It's just my theory. I could be wrong. And the sociopaths usually will go have a big growth spurt. And of course, you're like, well, are you diagnosed as one? No, I'm not. I can, fool their sensors every time. The point is that because the sociopaths are emotional, they're always tying that emotional reasoning. The sociopaths are delusional. I'm not delusional. So therefore, I have a huge advantage in what I do. So I'm guessing that the students are not delusional. Trained with me, they get results fast because they know what to adapt to. The students who are delusional and sociopathic and autistic, what happens is their results happen a lot longer because they're emotional, resisting, feeling butthurt, because high ego, low self-esteem. This is why they don't like the discipline. Like I could be wrong. Maybe I'm not like that. But the thing is that it's almost like a superpower. At COVID-19, I'm not too bothered by it. But it helps you think. This is my hypothesis. All those people, and tell me if I'm wrong. Government people who are like that are attracted to certain occupations. These type of people are usually CEOs. They're always on top. They're never the managers like the sociopaths. They're attracted to entrepreneurial shit. They're attracted to being a surgeon because they like cutting people open and they don't feel bad. They're attracted to being a police officer. They're attracted to running restaurants. They're attracted to even running like churches and stuff like that because the power. But regardless, for this student, it's a very good theory. A lot of scientific backing. Yeah, correct. So 1 in 10 people in Wall Street they suspected was a psychopath, and they love money and power and control and stuff like that. Of course, it doesn't mean they're bad people. I mean, Elon Musk, if he's like that, guess what? He's still helping other people in the world. He's still building infrastructures, but he's not very emotional, and he's a bit of a troll. But we're getting off topic. For this student afterwards, because he overheats, this is what happens. Whenever I speak for the women's part, he says his line, and then I respond to him so he can rehearse it. There'll be a big pause in between. So I count how many seconds is the overheating of the gun. For him, it was like 6 seconds. So whenever I see a student take 6 seconds, whenever they're talking to women, the overheating, I know that is autism and cortisol, and he noticed it too. All of the students are autistic, has a very slow leg time whenever they talk with the women. And that's why they talk faster. When I listen to the in-field analysis, they go faster and faster and faster, like this, faster, 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 and they crash. Just like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin. You know, Elon Musk, smart motherfucker, crashed it, saying Bitcoin is too energy efficient. China is clamping down. Yeah, I know these fucking psychopaths think. China is like the perfect psychopath nation. And for Chinese genetics, 56% have the MAO-A gene. MAO-A gene is a genetic trait that a lot of Asians have, that the psychopath gene, the Genghis Khan gene, whatever they call it, they have it. So regardless, for the Asian students or for the autistic students, the long pause is something that you even notice among yourselves. You're talking to women, you're getting overheated with cortisol. But I kept pinching and he kept improving. You see that? Because he's like a fucking wave of water, of cortisol and stuff. He can barely focus, but when he pinched, he was able to improve his skills during elite access, because he's just getting an analysis, in-field analysis, just a short clip. He was not improving at all. For him, he was not able to hear the mistakes because a lot of them are delusional. While they're not schizophrenic like the other students seeing a different reality, they are all delusional when they have low self-esteem. And now I can see where the depression, as soon as I did the REBT, guess what happened? All of that disappeared. All of the handbrakes disappeared. And I was like, see, motherfucker, you improved so fucking fast with a little bit of discipline, pinching your right? Discipline. And he became like 25% better. That's a big quantum leap. Oh my God, 25%. He was not only sounding good in the conversation, he had the right tonality, the right body language, the right tone, the right words. But then he started to lose it right at the very end, and it plunged. But this is why discipline is so important, guys. It's not because I'm trying to be mean. I did this experiment for a month, and once again, the same conclusion happened. Before COVID, I'd done it once just to see. I've done it again by not punishing the students. And now he says, John, please, can you promise me from now on you'll never go easy on me again? Because he saw what happened afterwards. He said, please, John, I beg you, do not teach me in such a nice way. Even if you're teaching the perfect system, they cannot assimilate it. And sure, it may seem like a Navy SEAL, it may seem like a drill sergeant, but they get better at it. They get a 25% boost. So that's basically what I want to tell you guys. And I also want to tell you about another student. I didn't punish this student. I've been pretty nice to him. And he's improved a lot. Listen to his flow drill, because the other guy was more like this. Listen to his one.
Tell me something interesting about you. Something I never would have figured out by looking.
He needs to be a little bit louder too.
I am a singer. Speaking of singers, I feel they undergo a lot of practices in talking and working on their
So basically, he's a little bit slower, which is good.
I am just curious. How does it make you feel to master a variety of tonalities in the courses?
See, he has good questions. I'll tell you why he passed, even though he's a little bit quiet. Oh yeah, one more thing is to work on the volume. You gotta work on the Navy SEALs box breathing. Breathe in 4, hold 4, breathe out 4, hold 4, breathe in 4, hold 4, and you gotta do this 10 times. The thing is, you have very shallow breathing. Although you have improved a lot, the timing was correct. The questions were good. The comments were good. You know, it needs to be a little bit louder. So this is elite access. Tell me.
Oh yeah, one more thing is to work on the volume. You got.
So they always ask me 2 questions a day because elite access, the limitation is consulting, but the consulting already got team A to already get laid. So all the students that you see get laid, I'm gonna post way more lay testimonials. I'm gonna hammer my YouTube channel with it like Israel hammering Hamas. So that's a good theory. A lot of scientists. I'm gonna hammer like Hamas, like Israel slamming the shit out the Hamas buildings. So that's what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna make a few videos like this. I hope you guys are enjoying the stories, that you're learning a lot from it. So you can see even this student, he is the one that gone the furthest. He learned the social skills flow drill, which is the conversational skills of social skills. We're not talking about social skills that other dating coaches teach. We're not talking about those gaming tactics. Nothing like that. This is all a skill. Skills can replace the game, and this is what you guys don't realize. You guys are always, more game, more game. You guys are wasting your time and money looking for new products that are, you think you get the next new game shiny tactic. And I think you guys are mistaken because the stocks is going to crash for you. When you look at this and what the students are doing, social skills, social calibrations, emotions, and game. What you guys don't realize is if you take away the game, right? Look at this. Look at this. See this? That is 7.5 out of 10. You dumb fucks. That's why Elite 30 works so well. All of the students right here, social skills, who are part of Team A, have mastered the social skills flow drill. That's why they're practicing in drills. They have all passed. The drills is what got even that other Indian student who sounds autistic as fuck laid, because he was actually pretty good at the first flow drill. Now you can see the students are learning the second flow drill, the social comfort flow drill. You're like, holy shit. They practice over and over until it gets into their autistic brain. Over and over. So there's going to be a third flow drill. This student has finally passed. Now he's working on the opener as a flow drill. Number 4, he's going to have to work on an Insta date or Insta hangout. Come on, let's walk and talk. Let's go this way. Come on, let's go. Come on. And deal with the objections. Okay, now she'll leave by looping it. Looping again, the question, keep her in line, looping it. This is a real Jordan Belfort straight line persuasion system. Their system is more like straight line marketing with their stupid flow charts and bullshit. And they're like, oh yeah, I got most proof, right? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you got 2 fucking lay testimonials for day game. So much proof. So much proof. Fuck. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is that's what happened with Team A, B, and C. So Team C is not able to assimilate any of the flow drills. In fact, they fuck up the structure so much, they couldn't even get it right if their life depended on it. So I can see why some of the students are moving to Team C. The Team C's are the biggest narcissists, but they're not meaning to be. They just can't do multiple steps. The brain is really a dual core. It's not like something I made up. So you need a little bit of discipline. And it's too bad this guy's got burnout because he's a good-looking, tall Indian guy. You know, he's actually second best looking Indian guy next to my old roommate. But he's really having a little bit of a tough time mentally. And he already gone through it. He did everything himself, trying to be his own dating coach, and he kept fucking things up. I just wish he'll listen to it, and maybe I have to go on the phone with him, make him pinch himself, but he just can't get the tonality right. It always sounds angry. It always sounds like, tell me something interesting about the whole shit, Satan, calm down. That's what it sounds like. So yeah, Team A, B, and C. I want people who are on Team C to move into Team B. I'm going to get you all laid. Every single one of you motherfuckers in the Johnny Lee Access. I already got a ton of students laid, but let's get the next one, Team B. Navy SEALs does not have a Team B. It's just Team A or Team B is kicked out. And most people get kicked out of Navy SEALs, like 80-something% of Hell Week. But I'm going to try to retain Team B because I already got some of them laid. Team C, however, will not procreate. Most of you, no matter who teaches you, you are fucked. It's better just to, I'm not saying metaphorically speaking, blow your brains out. Metaphorically speaking, of course. But I'm just saying Team C is like, they're going to drown. very easy to see Team C. There was even another 5'3" Asian student who was in the military, but as soon as you give him a critique, he always loves to do it their way. Always the same thing. They always are know-it-alls. That's the problem with know-it-alls, because I whenever you look at Elite 30, you always think you know what it is. The know-it-alls know it none. Elite 30 is a body language course. It is very hard. You got to train like the Navy SEALs every day. So how did that person get from Team B to Team A? There was a Middle Eastern student who got laid in 1 week. I think it's from Reddit. He got laid in 1 week. He practiced 10 hours a day at this stuff. He mastered the flow drill because his social skills was good. He had a social circle. He had no body language. There's a different category. This is not the same stuff as the Elite playbook. There's no flirts and no teasings in the flow drills. None of that shit. Is completely separate. In fact, it's nothing even similar. I'm going to start posting free sample videos so you guys can get an idea of what the courses look like. And the reason why I don't have to like release new courses is because they all work. They work time and time again. And you guys see more and more testimonials. It's always the same thing that Elite 30 is actually, I'm going to tell you a secret. Elite 30 is actually more powerful than the playbook. You guys don't realize. Elite 30 can beat any new course out there. Elite 30 has beat COVID-19. Elite 30 is the technology that was not designed to be a game. It was just to help them get more dates, teach them the basics of being human, the basics of body language, the basics of, there was no lines. There's no, except the openers or whatever, there's no lines in it. And you're like, holy shit. This was actually the secret weapon of what got all these short Asians laid. They can't get short Asians laid. Nobody can, except me. They can get 5'10" Asians laid. They can get strong Asians laid, but they can't get short Asians laid. And why is this so important? Why is this so important right here? Because the more you have of these three, the less game you actually need. You know that? Isn't that weird? Give a thumbs up if you're getting this. That means if you got Elite 30 and you practice like that Middle Eastern student who was part of Team A, right here, this is 5 out of 10, guys. Why would you need game? Doesn't make any sense. This is women sees value. 20 out of 35. What the fuck does the game have to do with this? Game is only 25%. What do you think this 25% is going to do? Unless you have enough SMV versus the women, you're tall enough, you're white enough looking, or whatever, black wash, Latino wash. This doesn't really matter that much. And that's what they don't tell you. You don't see that, because the reason why you are more into game is because you guys are autistic. You guys, your minds will crash if you try to do too much social skill stuff. It'll crash. Like the Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin. It'll crash. So it's easier not to do these flow drills my students are doing. It is easier to take the shortcut. And with punishment in the right places, they can get the skills down. So when my students stop practicing the social skills flow drill, guess what happens? They start to lose their skills. And people don't want to lose their skills. They rather just spam approach without having any skills. They rather just do it like that. This is the gospel, guys. I'm just preaching you the truth. And they get overheated. That's why they don't want to learn this. So you're saying your system is different because it's social skills and social account. Yes, this is a new revolution. You guys don't get it. This is my revolution against the whole industry. And it works like gangbusters. It is powerful. And that's the thing, though. Emotional control can be handled with ashwagandha. If you have emotional problems, this will give you more points. 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 7.5, guys. 7.5. So it means you need less game, less, minus. If you have more here, is more minus here. So the big secret is that by working on the social skills flow drill, and also what I'm trying to get the first Indian guy to work on is body language, because he couldn't get the social skills flow drill down. You raising it by 5 points, 2.5, 2.5. So you have extra 5 points. So by working on these skills, you're adding this to your overall value. If you weight down all your value, 20 out of 35, for short Asian students, there's not enough points for game because their game is never good enough. Their game might be up to here compared to mine. You see that? And they don't have any emotions. Asians don't have emotions. I'm telling you, they're like fucking, they have no sense of connection. So this little bit of game is just like 1/3 at best. You don't have much water here. When you look at all the water here, a little bit of emotions, a little bit of water is not as much as this water. You see that? If this is all water, this way more water by focusing on these two, because women do respond to this stuff. You don't need gamey tactics. And then when you get ashwagandha, look at how much water is here versus here. This is only for the positive stereotypes. This takes discipline here. These two. This one does not take as much discipline, because this will come later. But these two take work. They take this flow drill, and they do fuck it up, and they do need discipline, and they do overheat. And yes, that's why there's a team A, B, and C. Without the skill part, without the social skills and social calibration guide, you're not getting it. There is no team A. That means when I'm nice to the people for elite access, there is no team A, because usually they all fail. So in the army, you have to discipline them. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not trying to be mean. Yeah, I agree. Social skills really important. It is very important. Do you think leg count is an important feature of success? Yeah, but it's not the only feature, because the problem with these leg count people is that they're into Tinder. Tinder does not count as leg counts. Let me ask you a question. Okay, is Tinder actually cold approach? Is Tinder pickup? That's the word. Is it Tinder pickup? No. If it's not pickup, right? Night game counts. Night game is a leg count. Day game is a leg count. Tinder is what white people use. You look at these tall white people, right? These self-proclaimed people, and you look at their student results. What ethnicity is getting laid with a lot of lays? Maybe 50, 100. Which ethnicity is getting a lot of lays? White people. If it's white people and it's 95% or 96%, they have 2 blacks and 1 token Asian. Unless they have more token Asians, I don't know. I can only speculate. Does that really count? If normal white people who are not pickup artists, tall white guys with good social skills, go on Tinder, they get even more lays than 100. They get like 200, 300, 400. Does that count as a lay count? No. It is a lay, but it's not a pickup. It doesn't even count. So when you look at them, it's like, how many lays do you have without Tinder, right? They're like 400 or something. Then that's the real lay count. I got 300 matches a year on Tinder. I'll be your student in the near future. I'm looking forward to it. So if there are students out there that are skeptical, if you're willing to be like trained in front of the world and I get you laid in front of the world, I can do it. I'm that good. If you guys are skeptical, I'll just pick a student that's really fucked up. I'll get him laid in front of the world. Like, I can do it. I'm Johnny Lee. I'm the best of the best. No matter how fucking hard case you are. But yeah, now you're starting to get it. So their lay count is like 400 and something. And now they're saying, oh yeah, because of Tinder. Like, that's bullshit. Tinder is a playground for white people. I don't mean it in like that kind of way. What I mean by that is that Tinder, for them, is so easy. It's like, just by the very fact that you're white, you can match even Asian girls. You can probably get 1,000 fucking lays with all Asian girls if you're tall and white. Doesn't even count. Doesn't even count. So why would anyone want to think that it matters? It doesn't, because you've been brainwashed to think it matters. So they can boost their testimonial count of the students, and they can boost their lay count. Only day game and night game counts for lay counts. That's it. How stupid can you be? You've been gaslighted by half-truth pill. Oh yeah, it was like Tinder. Well, if it's all white students, right, then doesn't it show that white is right? White is right. That means they're like, oh, it's not race, it's like skills and blah, blah, blah. Anyone can challenge anyone, arguably. No, you have fucking 2 lay testimonials. The whole screen is black. You can't even see the student. And why is the screen black? I hope that these are actually students. I don't have any reason to doubt it, but it brings a lot of doubt. So 2 lay testimonials finally during COVID. So my system is not the only one that got it. But like I said, if I can't see the students' faces, it's kind of fishy. So 2 lay testimonials versus 476. Just divide it in half. That's 238 times more lay testimonials that I have for day game. So how is your system the most optimized? Is my system 238 times more optimized? Of course. John, with Tinder, you gotta get Tinder go for. I don't use Tinder. I don't believe in Tinder. So it's not even game. That's all I gotta teach you for today. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and talk more about the gospel of game. I hope you guys enjoy this video. So maybe see you tomorrow, see you after tomorrow. All right, Johnny Lee out.